All right, next question. Hi, Trip. First, let me express my deepest gratitude to you and the podcast. I've listened to hundreds of episodes. Can't thank you enough. After 20 years of marriage and divorce 3 years ago in my mid-40s, I'm still extremely good at cold approach with no anxiety whatsoever and can always get women talking. I have a decent amount of success getting phone numbers when they don't have a boyfriend or husband, with a typical percentage of them not responding when I reach out. When I do go out on a date with a woman, I'm finding that most of them don't escalate sexually and there's not a spark, even if we go out on a few fun dates. Whether first meeting a woman in a cold approach or even after a couple dates with a particular woman, I'm either too nice and respectful or I'm too forward. It doesn't end up with them being attracted to me. So my question is, do you have any tips on how to find that middle ground between being too nice and respectful and just coming out in an unfiltered forward way that's too direct? Thanks so much for answering this question. I'd appreciate if you could leave my name anonymous. That would be great. Okay. So anonymous, this is great. And it's such a great question. And one of the things that obviously, you know, this once this clicks, it's going to be game over, right? In a good way. So it's a little bit hard to know for certain that this is the problem. I just want to make that clear. I can give you advice on this, but it is possible that it doesn't have to do with the fact that you're either being too nice or respectful or you're being too assertive. So just understand that. Now, what could that be? I don't know. Hard to say, right? That's something that you'd have to maybe try and figure out. But I will do my best to still answer this question, and we'll say maybe this is the specific issue. I just want you to look out for maybe anything else that it could possibly be that's not making these women want to stick around. So it could be maybe just the conversation that you're having, which doesn't have to do with being too nice or being too assertive. Maybe it's just boring. Maybe you're talking too much. Maybe you're not talking enough. Pay attention to some of those little details. Being too nice might be a problem, and being too aggressive might be a problem as well. It is true. You're going to find that 9.9 times out of 10, women are not going to sexually escalate with you. And so you have to make that move. So I'm going to give you some tips on what the middle ground could look like. So first, with physical escalation, you always want to go for a kiss at the least. Okay. Something you can test out if you want to go middle ground here is by doing a first kiss on the date, but not trying to get them back to your place. Now, you didn't give me a lot of details here, so I don't know what you're doing exactly that's being too forward, but I would imagine something too forward is going to be way more than just going for a kiss. Trying to get her back to your place, trying to escalate fast to sex. So just as a way to test, still go for the kiss. Don't do anything more than that. Also, in some ways, as much as you might hear from myself or maybe other coaches out there that you want to, be as sexual as fast as you can, that can hurt you in a lot of these cases, like we might be seeing. And also, it might show an over-eagerness. So just be careful there. Just know that there's still a time and a place where you guys can have sex. It might just not be on that first date. Now, with being unfiltered, I'm guessing when you say that, you mean by the things that you're saying. It'd be great to have you on here so I can ask you. I'd love to know what you're saying that's so unfiltered, but it's always going to be good to lean on the unfiltered side, because the unfiltered side still is going to be more polarizing, which is going to, in the end, be more interesting. So whatever you're doing now that you're saying you're being unfiltered, it could be possible that you're doing this to too much of a degree. You're saying things that are too polarizing. You're being, just maybe too aggressive with your words. Whatever you're doing there, just simple, man. Just cut that in half. Whatever you're saying and the verbal things that you're saying to be more unfiltered, cut that by half and don't go all the way to the other side, right? That's kind of obvious advice. Like, I think that you're trying to make up for what you're doing and what you're lacking. So you just go to each extreme when it's sometimes really simple to just half that. I did that right now with an example of being physical and escalating physically. If you're escalating too much, half that. Now, to diagnose this issue, If everything I'm saying to you is like, well, you're already doing that. You're not being too polarizing in what you're saying. You're not being too aggressive there. You are going for the kiss and nothing else, and it's still not working, then there's something else 100% going on. This has nothing to do with being too nice or being too respectful or not being respectful enough or whatever it is. You said here, there's not a spark, even if we go out on a few fun dates. And that's what's really clicking with me out of everything you're saying here, that there's not a spark. So I wonder, I'm guessing that you feel a spark or you feel something. And if you don't, well, that just means you haven't found the woman that you're really interested in. But I'm assuming that you do find some of these women interesting enough that you'd want to see them again, but they're rejecting you. If you're not feeling that spark, you're probably talking about the wrong things. You might be even going at this a little too robotic. You might not be trying to really connect with them on that emotional level that I've been talking about. One thing that I think might help you a lot with this is the 36 questions study. So you can type into Google 36 questions, or you can get my book. It's a chapter on it. But if you want this to be fast, just go into Google, type in 36 questions that make a girl fall in love with you. And you can find all these questions. That's my most practical advice to be able to connect with someone, because you're going to be asking questions that might offer a little bit more vulnerability. So I wonder if you're going on these dates and you're just way too boring and factual. My advice too is, if some of this is not helping and you're unaware of what is actually going on, you might need a coach. So you might need someone to dissect what is happening. One of the things we do here over at TripAdvice is we give guys mock dates. So we have women on staff that will do a mock date with you, whether in person or over Zoom, and you do a mock date with them to see how you're acting on a date, and you actually get feedback from that woman, which is pretty incredible. And it has gotten guys to the point where they've been able to fix all those little areas that they're messing up on dates to be able to actually get a woman to want to see them again. So we do that in the TripAdvice coaching program. You can check that out at tripadvicecoaching.com, where you can apply to work with one of us here at TripAdvice, and we can help you with these dates. So that's what I'd recommend to you if you implement some of this stuff and it's not working out, or you just want to get right to it and start fixing this issue. Hope that helps, Anonymous. Again, some of that common sense advice, whatever you're doing, cut it in half and see where it takes you.